for president who's seasoned through and through.
Good evening. The television and radio stations of the United States and their affiliated stations are proud to provide facilities for a discussion of issues in the current political campaign by the two major candidates for the presidency, the Republican candidate, Vice President Richard M. Nixon, and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy.
The 1960 presidential debate was the first in American history to be aired on television. This gave the American people a chance to see the candidates as they answered questions about what their policies would be and why they should be elected. Although this was significant in exploring new ways to gain votes for candidates, it was not the first time television had been used by politicians.
I for president, I for president, I for president, I for president.
Prior to 1952, the only televised form of political advertising was the airing of long, half-hour speeches given by candidates. But during the presidential campaigns of 1952, Republican candidate Dwight D. Eisenhower and Democratic candidate Adlai Stevenson both utilized televised campaign ads for the first time to attract the attention of voters. Stevenson used his televised advertising time sparingly, initially relying more on the usual speeches.
Thanks to television, I can talk to millions of people that I couldn't reach any other way. But I'm not going to let this spoil me. I'm not going to stop traveling in this campaign.
On the other hand, Eisenhower hired Rosser Reeves, a Madison Avenue advertising executive, to create short TV spots that would air before popular television programs and be much less costly than the airing of long speeches. Eisenhower won the election, and the idea of televised ads appeared to have worked. When Eisenhower and Stevenson both ran again in 1956, the televised ads returned as well.
Now is the time for all good Americans to come to the aid of their country.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, Richard M. Nixon. I would like to talk to you for a moment about dollars and cents.
When Kennedy and Nixon started campaigning, they both understood that these ads were helpful, as proven by the previous elections. Nixon, who was vice president under Eisenhower for both terms, had a series of ads stating his policies and what things he would improve.
The other is to increase our national debt, and that means raising your prices, robbing you of your savings, cutting into the value of your insurance, hurting your pocketbook every day at the drugstore, the grocery store, the gas station. Is that what you want for America? I say no.
Kennedy also had some like these, but he also utilized a lot of endorsements from celebrities, which boosted his popularity.
Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Fonda.
My name is Harry Belafonte. I'm an artist, and I'm not a politician.
As president, John F. Kennedy will have the courage to meet the greatest challenge our country has ever faced.
I'm voting for this, Senator. How about you?
Vote for John F. Kennedy for president.
And now for the first opening statement by Senator John F. Kennedy.
Finally, on September 26, 1960, the first televised presidential debate was held. Kennedy arrived to the debate well-groomed and confident. Contrastly, Nixon was pale, exhausted, and sweating.
If you were, photogenic or telegenic, as they use the term, it definitely helped Kennedy and hurt Nixon a lot. Nixon looked nervous and sweaty, and it's carried through to today, actually, the way people present themselves.
This stark visual contrast between the candidates definitely played a major role in the voters' minds. In an interview conducted via email, Professor James Thurber said that, according to those who tuned in to watch the debate on television, Kennedy won, while those who only heard the debate on the radio thought Nixon was the winner. Because Kennedy won the election by such a small percentage, one could easily point a finger to his successful use of televised appearances and the effects they had on the American psyche.
Tonight, voters will have an opportunity to see and hear the major party candidates for the presidency.
After politicians saw how effective televised campaign ads and debates were, their use became more common. With the exception of the 1964, 1968, and 1972 elections, in which no debates took place, all presidential debates have been televised. Because of his negative experience with the 1960 debates, Nixon refused to participate in any televised debates when he campaigned again in 1968 and 1972.
I worked with both parties to cut Virginia's budget by $5 billion.
Today, politicians use television to promote themselves for more than just the presidency. Candidates for the Senate and Congress also air political ads. Even the news channels themselves may have become politically biased, often favoring one political party over the other.
The media plays a huge role in politics. Depending on what news station you listen to, you kind of get a different take on what's really happening. Then it becomes the job of the viewer to decide what's the truth, what is being editorialized and all, whereas the news used to just, kind of present facts. Now it seems like the media almost editorializes everything.
Presidential campaigns continue to use the methods of airing short ads and televising debates, but with some changes. In the last several elections, the percentage of ads slandering the competition as opposed to promoting the candidate behind the advertisement has greatly increased. Trying to scare people away from the other candidate has been a tactic of these ads since the beginning, but until recently it was not nearly as common as it is today. In addition, debates to determine each political party's presidential candidate are now televised. Another noticeable change in how candidates use television to promote themselves is their appearance on popular television programs such as Saturday Night Live and The Tonight Show.
Congratulations, you're speaking to Donald Trump.
In an essay he wrote before the 1960 debates, John F. Kennedy stated his fears of what television may do to politics. Political success on television is not, unfortunately, limited only to those who deserve it. It is a medium which lends itself to manipulation, exploitation, and gimmicks. It can be abused by demagogues by appeals to emotion and prejudice and ignorance. Political campaigns can be actually taken over by the public relations experts who tell the candidate not only how to use TV, but what to say, what to stand for, and what kind of person to be. Political shows, like quiz shows, can be fixed and sometimes are. Today, some may argue that Kennedy's fears have been realized. When news is manipulated to better serve one political party over the other, television is being abused. When presidential candidates appear in comedy skits, they could be accused of using a gimmick which, some say, devalues the presidency. Still, this type of publicity is working, especially among the younger demographics who are more likely to watch these shows. Televised political debates seem to have become less about important issues that matter to Americans and more like a cultural boxing match.
Let me say something at the outset.
During a recent televised GOP debate, Ted Cruz and Chris Christie recognized that matters of national security and our nation's financial health were not prioritized by the moderators.
The questions that have been asked so far in this debate illustrate why the American people don't trust the media. This is not a cage match. And you look at the questions: Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
We have $19 trillion in debt. We have people out of work. We have ISIS and Al-Qaeda attacking us. And we're talking about fantasy football? Can we stop?
JFK warned about this kind of manipulation. The exploration of the use of television as a political tool, which was catalyzed by the 1960 televised presidential debates, has been and continues to be historically significant to American politics. When the public felt more informed, connected, and trusting of a candidate, they were more likely to vote for that candidate. Once the success of utilizing television as a political tool was established, it became a permanent feature of the political process. Viewers now see the candidates, debate issues, and see them in advertisements or endorsements. The number of voters increased over the years as a result of sharing information with the public by televising more political material. Many claim that the presidential elections have become more superficial, focusing too much on the candidate's appearance and trivial issues instead of what they stand for and what they can do for our country. Television has made it possible for any political candidate to project the ideal image they feel is required to win an election. American voters must do their research to make sure the candidate they select is truly who they say they are.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This hour has gone by all too quickly. Thank you very much for permitting us to present the next President of the United States on this unique program.
Like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair. We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you.